welcome to our Public Art Committee group meeting. And thank you for coming on this Remembrance Day. And I would just like to say, I think when people are remembered, they're never forgotten. Now call to order. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda, that the agenda for the Public Art Advisory Committee from November the 11th, which is today, 2024, be approved as amended or circulated. May I have a mover? Thank you. Seconder? Thank you. We'll give it to David. You'll have your turn, though, Heather. Yes. That's right. Maybe.
And now we'll do a vote. So
And
now-
thank you.
Now you get to vote on the screen. Yes.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just going to take a look at that.
On the screen.
Thank you. Moved.
Sorry, there's a glitch in my system. Are you as well? Yeah, we'll do an overview because you guys did vote, but
Yeah.
it's not, it's displaying on my screen, but not on the TV.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind voting again,
Thank you.
just with your hands.
That's okay.
Yes, but the results, the actual result, it has to say each member voted. So you can just raise your hand, like traditional way. Yes.
That looks like it's carried. Thank you. Looking to number 4, this is the approval of the minutes of our PAC, April 23rd, 2024, that the minutes of the Public Art Advisory Committee dated that date be adopted as circulated. Any discussion? No? Mover?
Your results for the agenda are up now. It might just be slow.
Oh,
Okay.
So I can move that it be adopted?
Yep.
yes. And a seconder, please? Thanks, David.
Yep. Okay, we're just gonna do an overview
Righto.
instead, just to be,
Do you want,
so all, you can call.
all those in favor?
Perfect.
Thank you. Carried. We're now on to number 5, deputations. I see none at the moment, unless someone is going to surprise us. Thank you. And now we'll go into number 6, which is the TDA mural update, staff liaison.
Thank you. So just a quick update for everyone. The TD mural was removed from the side of the building and it is in storage at the arena currently. I have put in a project for the 2025 budget to have the mural restored. And then we will look to place it in Ungerman Park. So it'll be located where the prisoner of war information is. So we'll have it enclosed so it's weatherproof, vandalism proof. So we will see if that goes through the council budget process, and then it'll be a project on the table for 2025 for us to work on. So that's where that is at. It's seeming to be in pretty decent shape.
Yes.
Some of the top of the mural might have to be removed, but it doesn't impact the actual
No.
photo in general, so you might have to lose a little bit. We will have to do an RFP as a process to get somebody to do that restoration, because I'm not sure who's out there who can do it. So we will do a proper process to have proposals come in for the restoration.
And considering that it has been around in Gravenhurst's weather and all, it was surprisingly
Yeah.
in fit shape to move about. And it's thanks to my colleague here who almost held my hand during all of the kerfuffle, because when you do something like that, you're removing it from a public building, and as a public enterprise, it has its own rules. And one of the rules was that we had to guard the slots. It was divided into slots so that we could take it off easily and transport it easily. But it couldn't be left alone. It would be lonely on the sidewalk. And so I was on to Shauna, now what do I do? Because, of course, it was a wee bit too long for any of the vehicles that we had to move it. And Shauna said, don't you worry. So I didn't. And by the end of the day, it was safe and sound and happy as can be. So we're going to look forward to seeing it protected. I mean, it really is wonderful. And between now and then, whenever then is, it would be fabulous if somehow we could do some, let's call it research or archival research, to find out who did that.
I think the name is on it.
All right.
I think the name is on it.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. Yes. Does it ring a bell at all?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, having it in Underwood Park, I'm trying to figure out the relevance there, but anyway.
I was told, and I don't know if it's accurate, that the people walking down the park were actually POW camp people. Yeah.
That's as I remember it as well, that it was our POW group, and the citizens of Gravenhurst were on the side.
Side interest to it, when I was out in BC at the yacht club, I was introduced to a gentleman who was German, and I was told to tell him where I came from. I said Gravenhurst, and he said I was a prisoner of war in the camp in Gravenhurst. And he'd just written a book, Thank You Canada, and stupid me, I didn't buy one, and thanking Canada for his years here. And he got transferred up to north of North Bay to a camp where he got caught listening to Hockey Night in Canada with a smuggled-in radio and got reprimanded. But he said, David, I went down and saw Foster Hewitt and got lifetime ticket or season tickets to the Leafs. But he was a prisoner of war in this camp, and I should have spoken to him a lot longer because he'd had a lot to say in his book. But anyway, that's just a side note to that. He's in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. So I will let
Christine. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you. I just had a question through you to Shonda. What is the budget line item for this?
So it's gonna, through you, to Counselor, it's gonna go under a special project in the capital budget. It's, I think it has a POW mural refurbishment.
Great, thank you.
At the moment, do we need to worry about a budget amount, or once we start to look into who might restore it, that would give us an idea?
I put an amount in there because I
Yes.
had to put an amount in there for the budget. Whether it's enough, I'm not sure.
All right.
I may have to go back, or we may have to postpone it a year, depending if it's more than what I put in as a budget.
Righto. All right. Thank you, Shauna. Thanks for the behind the scenes. And I believe that you might be also, no?
That's me.
Sorry?
That's me. I'm the
Ooh.
committee coordinator.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you.
Liaison, committee coordinator.
Thank you, committee coordinator.
No problem. I'm going to turn my mic on here. Perfect. So I am giving an update on the art installation in the council chambers. Due to low submissions and variety in photographs received, and despite staff's best effort to create engagement with the public to receive a new take on the spirit of Gravenhurst, the administration has decided to go in a different direction than the submission. We've been presented with an amazing opportunity to showcase local artists on a larger scale. The Discovery Center has offered to collaborate with us to do a rotating art wall. Of course, it's public art's decision if that's the way we want to go, but the administration does like that idea because then we can showcase a variety of art. So we do have some high-level information on the opportunity for you guys to look at. So with the rotating art wall, it would be here, located here, and we do have an opportunity to put one in the front hall as well to gather more engagement, to show local artists. But each painting would be displayed for 4 months. There would be a QR code posted next to each painting, directing the public back to the artist's website and the Discovery Center's website, so they can have information on purchasing or getting more information on that artist themselves. The Muskoka Discovery Center will curate the list of artists. They have a lot of contacts in the local area, so they would put out a call on behalf of the committee. We would create the parameters, the types of ideas we're looking for. So if we're looking for Muskoka landscapes or abstract art, indigenous art, they'll push that out in a call. And then they will take in all the pieces, they will narrow down the pieces, and then present them to us. We would pick which ones we want to be displayed for the 4-month period. And we can also, because it is a public space, we can also pick certain things that if we didn't want to display, just to be appropriate for all ages and things like that. And we were hoping that if the committee would like to move forward with this idea, that we could create a couple parameters today that I could provide to them this month, and then we could start it as of January. But it's up to you guys to discuss. If you have any more questions, I would be happy to answer them.
You don't have any samples or anything that,
Sorry, push your button. There you go. Now just wait a second. Oh, it's not even turning green.
Oh, there it is.
There you
Good.
go.
Thank you.
I just wondered if you had any samples in the conversation. Were they talking about size, 2D?
A little bit of, we have the capability with the paintings to do a variety of options. We don't have to have just one piece. The way that we were thinking about setting it up is in a way that if you have 3 smaller pieces, we could put them on the wall, like almost like it's a painting, but picture wall. Or we have the capability of putting up a very large one. So what we do, the next steps would be, she would come in and measure the spaces and then tell me what we're capable of doing. So there is options. So we would receive, let's say, 5 paintings, and you guys could pick 3 of them you would like to display in this room, and then 2 out in the front hall. Or if you would prefer just to do 1 because you feel like you want that to be the center of attention, then we could do that as well. You guys have really the flexibility of what the committee would like. I wouldn't say that we would be able to hang too many because of the system itself, but we definitely can do multiple paintings.
So speaking of a system, is there a system here?
We are that will be the next step. So we didn't want to purchase anything or look into it too far until the committee decides that's the way we would like to go. If you have recommendations on systems as well, then that's something we can talk about. The Discovery Center does have recommendations on how they hang their art. So that's an option as well.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's a rare opportunity. So, and the fact that the work would be rotating is terrific.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
can
were
get stale if it's always the same thing.
That's why the 4-month period was a good idea, because then as people come into the town hall in different seasons, as we discussed before, we like the idea of changing it. That's a kind of a good period of time. If we only did it every 6 months, you're not showcasing as much art. And then anything less is a little bit too short.
I just wanted to add one more thing, and that is that it would be good if there was some kind of acknowledgement, even just with the paintings outside, but just the connection to the Discovery Center and the fact that this is a rotating show. I think it would increase interest and have people understand what's happening here.
So I do have that as well. Mike, our communication specialist, is here for that. We also would incorporate it in the town social media platform. We have a monthly newsletter. The mayor has her updates. We have our social medias accounts, so we would promote them that way as well. And just to create engagement too.
Yes, yeah.
David?
What did you push?
Middle, that one. Yep.
No, I agree with Hillary, and it's wonderful to have a mix of artists, Indigenous and local artists or wherever, to rotate through. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Christine, please.
Thank you, Chair, through you. I agree with both of you as well. I think it's a good idea. I support the idea. My question was going to be similar to Hillary's, was that could it be different mediums? You know, if it's going to be a sculpture, or if it's going to be, like, obviously hanging on the wall, but is it only paintings that we're looking at, is my question.
I believe it will only be paintings. I can double check to see if they receive other options. It would have to be something that's you can hang on the wall. So I can see what other options they get. I would have to just confirm with the Discovery Center to see if they take in only paintings or if they have other pieces of art as well. But that's a part of our parameters. If we wanted to put a call out and ask for something a little different, we could. We would just have to create the verbiage for that.
Thank you.
Having had work stolen from public buildings, I'm just hoping that there's some special security here for that kind of event, if it's going to be hanging out in the hall.
We do have insurance for that. As for additional security, we don't have, we lock doors, but we don't have an actual security department. But I can speak to the administration and see if there's a better way to do it. But I don't think we'd be really encasing anything. It's just meant because you have to rotate it. And the Discovery Center is they're going to come in themselves and rotate it on a basis, so they have to be able to access it. But we do have liability insurance as well, in case something were to happen.
Because some of these pieces can be irreplaceable, so insurance
Is moot.
so it's just something to consider, and they probably have ideas about that as well.
Do you have cameras out there anyway or not? There's no cameras at the entrance or the,
I believe we do. Sorry. I'm working so many different systems here. I believe we do have cameras, but I will talk to infrastructure to get more details on the security there and see if they're angled at that spot. And I'll just highlight this as something I can bring back to the committee and provide more information on.
David, I've had experience with, sometimes I would call it the futility of cameras, in the sense that once something has been removed, yes, you think it's a human being, not something else that's taken it away. But the point is, it's a long process and sometimes it doesn't yield anything. So maybe, would it be possible to enclose the art pieces in something that one would need a key to get into? Do you see what I'm wondering about?
I think that,
Go ahead, David.
I wouldn't like to see that.
Okay, go ahead, David.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
I don't know if we'd want to do that. I think insurance covers it, and I've been in the art gallery, the Arts of the Albion. No paintings have been stolen yet, but there was some jewelry taken, and the guy was reaching up to turn the camera off, and that's how they caught him.
Yes.
He was on film. But, so I don't know if it's news if art is stolen, Banksy and the rest of them, so.
Oh, my question to admin would be, let's pretend that these two artists would like to show something, even a wall hanging, Hillary, this kind of situation.
So if we get inquiries on a local artist that would like to display something, I would direct them to the Discovery Center. They would be put on to the call.
Yes.
And then the committee would select the art. That's how we would take it in. So
All right.
definitely we will take in any inquiries, but because they're curating it and they are going to be doing kind of the administration, they have a big list of artists, we will direct them there. And then as if their art then fits whatever the committee has put out for that call, then if you select it, you can put it on
Right.
the wall.
So these two artists could then submit.
Are you referring
These-
to the committee? Oh, you're saying the committee itself?
Paint under different names.
I understand. Banksy is one of them, isn't it?
You're asking if there is
Yes. An allowance?
Yeah, a disclosure of interest. So I will double check that. Because there is no pecuniary gain, I don't see why not, but I will confirm with the clerk if that falls under there.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. Just in case, in your spare time. Yes. Yes. Christine, any other comments from you? No?
So I do have a motion, if we do want to go forward, just to endorse the idea of collaborating. I can pull it up here if you would like to read it, Carol Ann.
This is that the Public Advisory Committee endorse a collaboration with the Muskoka Discovery Center to create a rotating art wall located in the council chambers and in the municipal office. Moved by? Thank you. Now, let me see, who's, yeah, you were. David, you can be the mover. Now, who would like to fight for the seconder? Oh, Christine, thank you, thank you. Well, ta-da, now we're into new business. Oh, I'm sorry, a vote. Thanks for keeping me on track. Do you want hands?
Yes.
Yes. Approved? Objecting? Anybody? No? Motion carried. Now, new business. Yes? No? No new business. Oh, that's a shame. Well, that just pushes.
We could, sorry.
Yes.
Because we do want to get back to the Discovery Center to put a call out in November now, so we can start in January. Is there any parameters we wanted to start with? We could choose, no worries. We can choose something, mainly when I was speaking to Wendy from the Discovery Center, she said if there's something we don't want to see, or if there's something like Muskoka landscapes we would like to see, or abstract, or if we didn't want graffiti, things like that. So if we had anyone has ideas on our first round of what we would like to put out, I do know that it would be nice to display some Indigenous art that falls in line with our strategic plan as well to embrace that. So I could, and I know they have an exhibit going on right now, so that may be something to start with. But it's to you guys, whatever you would like to put out.
I think it would work more effectively and have people want to sort of follow after having looked at the ones outside to come in and see these if it were thematic, as opposed to just a variety of different works. It would be better if it was thematic. So when you speak about Indigenous work, for example, having that the theme, and then landscape, and then, I don't know, do you feel that way?
I think it would be, with respect to have the Indigenous be the first to display their art, I think. And it could be, it could be in the themes, sure. It could be, after landscape, there's abstract, then there's portraits, I suppose, or whatever, but.
Okay, so I will bring that back. Of course, you guys will have a look at the final pieces. And I did ask some additional questions, just so you know, because this is going to be a long-term project, that if we did put a call out and we didn't receive a lot of paintings at that period, if they did have paintings they could display as well. And they do, just kind of as a backup. I would assume we would receive submissions, but it being a new project, it's nice to have a backup of other art we can select as well.
Also,
Fill in the blank.
Haley, doesn't the municipal office have a few pieces of art somewhere? I mean, in leaning against walls and in cupboards and,
That we looked at, yes.
Yes.
Those are actually a part of the Discovery Center's. They did a project with the town.
Yes.
Previously, kind of similar, where they had art that they rotated within, throughout the building. So some of those pieces were theirs. So, yes, we could brainstorm backup ideas if we don't, but I am hoping that we will receive. She has a very long list of artists, she told me, so it would be nice to see all different local artists displayed.
and when you say local, do you mean Gravenhurst exclusively? Muskoka? What does she think?
A little bit like there's artists in Washego, there's artists in Kilworthy. It's all very close to Gravenhurst.
Yes,
It's not going to be in like the GTA,
Right.
But it's going to be very, very close to Gravenhurst, mainly Gravenhurst. But there will be some artists in Washego and the parameters that will.
in Bracebridge, Huntsville?
I would have to double check how far they go. I do know both townships, they do rotating art walls as well. So I would have to speak to the Discovery Center. And I can definitely ask her what are our parameters. Would you, as the committee, prefer a very small diameter? Or would you like to go into Bracebridge and those areas? I think the first goal was to showcase local art, so I guess we have to determine how local is local.
Focus on that, yeah.
I think we can decide that when we see the work. For example, if it was landscape, we might want to choose something by a Bracebridge artist or a Huntsville artist to incorporate into the landscape theme. So I think it depends on what we see. So not get too tight about our choices without having seen anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, Hillary, more inclusive?
Well, not specifically. I think we're the Gravenhurst Art Advisory Committee, so
Yes.
we're hopefully wanting to assist Gravenhurst artists in terms of exposure.
Yes, I see.
But I don't think we should be so exclusive that we say, well, this painting of the Bala Falls
Yes.
is by a Bracebridge artist, therefore we can't include it. I think if we get too principled about that, rather than accepting the work on
Its merit?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Hillary. Christine?
Yeah, I would agree. I've been in like the Huntsville Town Hall and I've seen Gravenhurst artists showcase there as well. So I agree. I don't think we want to, put too much parameters on it, especially at the beginning. Obviously a focus on Gravenhurst artists first. And yeah, I mean, Muskoka local for sure, but that would be my comments.
Thanks, Christina. David, would you like to add anything to this discussion?
Is that on? Well, I agree with Hillary, and I think we could end up in a little shoebox if and regret it if we made it small. So I think art, paintings coming from here might be of Algonquin, so I think it's Muskoka. Should be the theme, I think, Muskoka.
All right, so you'd rather see it just a little wider?
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
and then you can choose how you want to filter through them
I see.
to begin with, maybe, I don't know.
Right. Well, certainly if you have ideas after you've left the chamber, you could address to either one, and of course to the committee person to my left. That's right. Thank you, coordinator. Oh, and Christina, I apologize for not being appropriate with your name. Thank you very much. If that is, Haley, do you think, Shauna? Yeah, okay. Then I call for an adjournment at 15:33. Do we need a? Mover? Oh, yes. So we have a mover?
We need a mover and a seconder.
Mover, seconder. David? Hillary? All in favor? You're not in favor? I don't. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very, very much for spending